Jewish folklore, legends, music, oral history, proverbs, jokes, popular beliefs, fairy tales, stories, tall tales, and customs that are the traditions of Judaism. Folktales are characterized by the presence of unusual personages, by the sudden transformation of men into beasts and vice versa, or by other unnatural incidents. A number of Haggadic stories bear folktale characteristics, especially those relating to Og, king of Bashan, which have the same exaggerations as have the Lügenmärchen of modern German folktales. There are signs that a certain number of fables were adopted by the rabbis either from Greek or, indirectly, from Persian and Indian sources. Middle Ages. There is considerable evidence of Jewish people helping the spread of Eastern folktales in Europe. Besides these tales from foreign sources, Jews either collected or composed others which were told throughout the European ghettos, and were collected in Yiddish in the Attribution. Numbers of the folktales contained in these collections were also published separately. It is, however, difficult to call many of them folktales in the sense given above, since nothing fairy-like or supernormal occurs in them. Legends. There are a few definitely Jewish legends of the Middle Ages which partake of the character of folktales, such as those of the Jewish Pope Andreas and of the Golem, or that relating to the wall of the Rashi Chapel, which moved backward in order to save the life of a poor woman who was in danger of being crushed by a passing carriage in the narrow way. Several of these legends were collected by Abraham Moses Tendler. In the late 19th century, many folk tales were gathered among Jews or published from Hebrew manuscripts by Israel Eliakut VI in the Revue des Études Juives, in the Revue des Traditions Populaires, and in Melusine, by Moses Gaster in Folklore and in the Reports of Montefiore College, and by Max Grunwald in Mitteilungen der Gesellschaft für Jüdische Volkskunde, by L. Wiener, Disambiguation Needed, in the same periodical, and by F. S. Krauss in Urkel, both series. Altogether some 60 or 70 folk tales have been found among Jews of the present day, but in scarcely a single case is there anything specifically Jewish about the stories, while in most cases they can be traced back to folk tales current among the surrounding peoples. Thus the story of Kunz and his shepherd occurs in English as King John and the Bishop, and the magician's pupil is also found widely spread. The well-known story of the language of birds, which has been studied by James Fraser, is given in Mitteilungen 77. No. 4 in the collection of Wiener is the widespread folk tale of the giant's daughter, which some have traced back to the legend of Medea. 2 of the stories collected by Grunwald, No. 13, the birds of Ibycus, and No. 14, the ring of Polycrates, appear to be traceable to classical sources, while his No. 4 gives the well-known episode of the thankful beasts, which Theodore Benfey traced across Europe through India. Even in the tales having a comic termination and known to the folklorists as drolls, there are no signs of Jewish originality. The first of the stories collected by Wiener is the well-known man in the sack, who gets out of his difficulties by telling passers-by that he has been unwillingly condemned to marry a princess. Agada and folklore compilations. The Legends of the Jews by Rabbi Louis Ginsburg is an original synthesis of a vast amount of Agada from the Mishnah, the two Talmuds and Midrash. Ginsburg had an encyclopedic knowledge of all rabbinic literature, and his masterwork included a massive array of Aggadot. However, he did not create an anthology which showed these Aggadot distinctly. Rather, he paraphrased them and rewrote them into one continuous narrative that covered 5 volumes, followed by 2 volumes of footnotes that give specific sources. The Ein Yaakov is a compilation of the Aggadic material in the Babylonian Talmud together with commentary. Sefer HaAgada, the Book of Legends, is a classic compilation of Agada from the Mishnah, the 2 Talmuds and the Midrash literature. It was edited by Chaim Nahman Bialik and Yehoshua Hanaravnitsky. Bialik and Ravnitsky worked to compile a comprehensive and representative overview of Agada. They spent 3 years compiling their work. When they found the same Agada in multiple versions, from multiple sources, they usually selected the later form, the one found in the Babylonian Talmud. However, they also presented a great sum Agadot sequentially, giving the early form from the Jerusalem Talmud, and later versions from the Babylonian Talmud, and from a classic Midrash compilation. In each case, every Agada is given with its original source. In their original edition, they translated the Aramaic Agadot into modern Hebrew. Sefer HaAgada was first published in 1908-11 in Odessa, Russia, then reprinted numerous times in Israel. In 1992 it was translated into English as The Book of Legends, by William G. Broder, Mimkor Yisrael, by Misha Joseph Berdachevsky. Berdachevsky was interested in compiling the folklore and legends of the Jewish people, from the earliest times up until the dawn of the modern era. His collection included a large array of Agadot, although they were limited to those he considered within the domain of folklore.